Babies.
Alright, let's get into this video. Let's get into this video just because it popped up, and this is going to be probably my most intense political video yet. I don't do a lot of politics shit.
Israel is the perfect spot to go to when there's a zombie apocalypse.
What's this, World War Z? This is a banger movie.
It's not just American propaganda, but many people
I forget a lot of movies that I watch, but I remember that one being.
To Gaza, killing the
I remember
babies,
bits and
the
pieces of
mothers,
movies.
the children is not wrong.
How Israel has systematically beheaded Palestinian children on a daily basis for the last 15 months. And yet every single one of these Western media outlets was so quick to spread the mass atrocity propaganda in order to manufacture consent for Israel's genocide by repeating a story about an incident which never took place.
We have some really disturbing news.
I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that in social studies class.
Prime Minister's spokesman just
freshman year.
Babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated.
I choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God. I didn't understand.
Being beheaded. And I was like, how can any human being do that to a baby?
This is a very complex topic that needs to be broken down into 3 parts. And
at the time, I didn't really understand like what the fuck was what, because everybody was saying everything. They were saying it was 4 babies, then they were saying it was 40 babies, then they were saying they went in there and blew everything up. And they were saying, like, I remember walking in the class, niggas was just saying whatever.
The Palestinians, where it's very sympathetic towards the Palestinians, interviewing leaders and painting a light that they're actually human beings. Guess what? Nothing turned out good for her afterwards. She went on top of a stage, she gave a big, great speech calling them hoodlums.
And I salute you, and I pay tribute to you, and I think you should be very proud that in the last few weeks you've stood firm, and you have refused to be intimidated by the threats of a small bunch of Zionist hoodlums whose behavior is an insult to the stature of Jews all over the world and to their great and heroic record of struggle against fascism and oppression.
And even released mice into at least one of them. Another theater was bombed, which took place after the Oscars. When Redgrave arrived at the Oscars, she saw her likeness hanged in effigy by JDL members who apparently lit it on fire. Police reportedly told her a local JDL leader offered $500 for the ear of the Nazi. I made this film because I believe the Palestinian people have been denied the right to be heard.
Oh, she didn't do the 180. I forgot what Zionist meant. I thought Zionist meant you were against Jewish people. Zionism is like
by herself.
What is Zionism? It's like, no, I know what it is. It's like they try to.
Just the 2 bodyguards.
But it gets tricky. You can't really describe shit like that because you can just get called a racist. I get it now. I get it.
The Vietnam War insulted her.
She was what's it called?
And people need to realize the Palestinian and Israel beef has existed since decades ago. And this is not just about America. In the UK, you can get arrested for making a mean tweet about Israel. Even knowing anything about the situation in Israel will get you in criminal trouble. More importantly, they are manipulating and propagandizing their own people. There are arguments, debates about should they be able to rape Palestinian hostages. Like what the fuck?
The UK government passed an act heavily restricting access to online content deemed potentially unsafe to children. This possibly includes information relating to Palestine and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
You can't do that right there.
Forces tied explosives to the body of an 8-year-old
regardless of which side you're on, you have to have certain information to get out there, you know. You have to have conversation on these big topics. You got the war going on. See, that's the shit I don't understand. You got to really separate this shit in terms of if people
raping a Palestinian hostage. And when news of this came to light, Israeli far-right politicians and soldiers and ordinary people protested outside of the facility where the soldier was being held, demanding that he be released. And in parallel, the Israeli Knesset engaged in debates on the right of Israeli soldiers to rape Palestinian hostages.
שיש מי שבפרקליטות חושב שאפשר לבוא ולעצור חיילים על דברים שעושים למחבלי נוח'בה, לא נגמר. אנחנו לא יכולים להמשיך כרגיל.
להכניס מקל לרקטום של בן אדם, זה לגיטימי?
כן, אם הוא נוח'בה, הכל לגיטימי לעשות לו. הכל! הכל!
I want people to realize one thing, and that it's Israel propaganda doesn't just apply to America and Americans, but it applies to almost every first world country. And even more importantly, this happens through media, not just through the news outlets and how they.
If somebody is arrested for doing something, they would have to be that would mean that they're in the process of what's it called?
Ever where what the fuck in World War Z? Israel is the only place that
judicial process, so you can't just go out and say anything's allowed.
Advanced technology.
What? Because they're accused. Like, granted, you might have the clearest evidence in the world, but still, that's a little wild, huh?
Even Palestinians.
I'll say back to my what I was saying.
The reason why Israel fell down was because the Palestinians were being too fucking loud. The second part of this video
back to what I was saying. You gotta separate the war and all the fucked up shit from your opinion and the conversations that you want to have that may be a little too rough. Like, that may be a little too touchy. That may be a little, like, you have like, picture the scene of a bunch of fucking higher class people in a room, and it gets tense and they start yelling at each other and, oh, you can't say that, you can't take that, and then picture the scene of people fucking dying all over the fucking street. Like, you know what I mean? That's two different spectrums, bro. I feel like sometimes you get caught up in more of the bullshit, man. And it feels like everybody else is just waiting on certain people to make certain decisions that they'll think will help out or either make some worse. You know, but the people that are really in it,
let's say a student wanted to come into your classroom, like you were the teacher, and he got kicked out of 109 different schools over 1,000 times. Would you let the student into your classroom and give him a chance?
Absolutely not. I mean, is a student probably, right? I would assume so.
It's this weird level of self-awareness, but also zero at the same time, because it's important to let people know.
See, that's what I mean, though. Like, conversations just get more extreme and extreme. You're on this side or on this side.
Just because
that's how far you are from the compromise.
We forget that a lot of Germans that wanted to kill all the Jews
from the
were not bad people. They were
is it compromise?
Manipulated.
If you're here on the spectrum of your opinions, you can't come to a conclusion, a fucking an agreement. That's how far you are from the agreement.
Interview all of these teenagers, these young people on Omi TV about their views on Palestine and their views on being Israel and Jewish. Excuse me, not Israel's not a thing.
Hello, konnichiwa, Palestine or Israel?
Oh my god, oh, you from this?
Hello. You support Israel? Hi. You support Israel or Palestine? What do you think about Israel?
I think this excessive need for approval and validation comes from that gut feeling of knowing that you're doing something wrong to the Palestinians. But what the propaganda aims to do is help you explain away that gut feeling by saying, oh no, they just hate you because you're Jewish.
I think it's very important to remember that these people are human beings. They were shaped by their environment. They didn't get to choose what type of propaganda or media that is fed to them. And the same thing applies to the Americans. The same thing is applied to the Europeans. It is not a certain group of people, but it is always the people in power that will sell out yourself, us, for money, power, and what's more important is not blindly hating a certain group of people, which is what the Instagram influencer grifters are doing. They just hate on black people, women, Jews, because it pays a lot of money to be this nihilistic, fueled hatred type of person, especially when we're in such an environment where there is a lot of safety. You can't be X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to push back by being extra racist, by being extra anti-Semitic, but that is not the point. Remember Vanessa, the reason why she was never supported, even though she was right all along about Palestine, was because her co-stars, the people in Hollywood, did not give a shit. They like to pretend they care. These Instagram influencers pretend that they care. They don't really care about the truth. They don't care about statistics. They only say the fun facts about black people and Jewish people because it pays the bills. How could you possibly, a co-star who worked together, backstab your friend, especially if you're someone who was against the Vietnam War, but then is also in support of Israel and their genocide? Well, it's because they don't care. They're there for the performative politics, which happens a lot today. And there are many videos that I've made about it in other sectors of life if you're curious into watching. But the main theme of everything is that if you delve really deep into these anti-Israel propaganda videos, which I've literally watched hundreds of hours of them, It ruined my mind. It really makes you feel negative. It really makes you hate certain people. And it's this trick and self-awareness that I need to practice where that's what they want. Israel wants
the world to hate them. Because by doing this, they create the ultimate taboo. Right?
You're giving me the
so the entire world will unite against Israel. But guess what? That's what their religion wants. In the extreme form of Jewish eschatology or their religion, they believe that at the end of the world, Israel will fight the entire world and God will help Israel triumph in the end. So what's really happening in Gaza is that there are extremists within the Israel government who want to accelerate the process of the end of the world where Israel will face the world. And if you think about it, the entire idea of this ritual sacrifice is to unite the Israeli population. And what's extremely disturbing and horrifying about it is that this works.
It is important to note that Israel and Palestine has been beefing for a very long time, and it is slowly coming to its climax where thousands of people are dying, children, families, they're all fucking dead. Old people, it does not matter. Israel is killing all of them indiscriminately, and how they garner so much support is not because they pop up in fucking movies, it's because they're finding ways to dehumanize Palestinians. During October 7, Hamas, the terrorist group, went to a music festival. They killed a lot of people, and Israel has been lying. They did kill a lot of people, but for some reason they're saying they are killing children, drinking the blood of them, but there's no proof of that.
A character that many people will have seen in the days afterwards is Yossi Landau, who was the southern commander of Zaka, who was on television a great deal. He said,
"The 2 piles of 10 children each were tied to the back, burned to death."
You then see a phone call which Netanyahu makes to President Biden, where he repeats this story. In fact, he embellishes it.
They took dozens of children, bound them up, burned them, and executed them.
Terribly important, this, because it was entirely untrue. We know the house he's talking about. He's talking about the house in Kibbutz Be'eri, which was the house that was stormed by Israeli police and military, and where it is almost certain that all of the hostages were killed by the Israeli police and military. There were 2 children there, 2 twins, but no other children, so we know the story is untrue. Mr. Landau told a number of other stories. There's one particularly notorious one about the fetus being cut out of a pregnant woman.
The baby that was connected to the cord was stabbed, and she was shot in the back.
We simply know this is untrue. The list of the dead show there's no such victim. Mr. Landau said, I have a picture of this atrocity.
If you want to see the picture, I have the picture of it. This is the baby.
I'm sorry to be graphic here, but I can't see a baby here.
You can't see the baby but this is the picture of the mother.
It was a piece of charred flesh. It wasn't a baby. It certainly wasn't a baby. So it was interesting. Psychologically, I'm not quite sure why he offered to show me a photo that he didn't have.
If your goal is to dehumanize the enemy, desensitize all the suffering that is happening, you make them less valuable than a human. And there is a lot of
I haven't talked in a while.
This is influencers, weird, man. They interview the Israeli teenagers, and she doesn't care.
It's very big. Let me give my opinion on it. Let me psychoanalyze it to really feel like it's.
Oh my God, that fucking donkey.
And then you don't really care, man. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like he just said, but at the same time,
Palestinian lives are less valuable than that of a donkey.
The animals, the plants, the human are not safe because of you guys. Oh my gosh, how stupid you are.
Can you imagine how dehumanized Palestinians have to be for you to not feel anything when he talks to you about Palestinian children, but for you to suddenly be moved and become angry when he mentions a donkey? That alone tells you everything.
You have to portray your enemy as savages, barbarians. Oh, Hamas, they're drinking the bloods, killing babies. They're not doing that. They're lying about that. And the exact same correlation is happening with these Instagram grifters that hate these certain groups of people, black, women, Jews. They're doing the exact same fucking thing, where it's exactly like, oh, they're liars. They're the people that cause the most crime. They're comparing human beings to animals. Oh, what if there was 30% of the rats, but they caused 50% of the crime? They are dehumanizing these human beings as a way to justify their negative thoughts, even negative actions towards these groups of people. It is all about manipulation, propaganda.
Let's say there was 100 fish in a pond, and 13 of those fish were causing half of the issues in the pond. What should we do with those 13 fish?
So what can you do? Genuinely, because if their goal is to get us to hate them because they believe that at the end God will help them, then it's working. A lot of people are hating on them, but at the same time, they're killing so many people, and you can't just not do anything about it. There is almost this fear or feeling of not being able to do anything. You're weak, you're powerless, and this video is going to get a little bit cuckoo and crazy, but you need to realize in Christianity, I don't really know the story, but I know that God tested some guy and he was pretty much about to kill his wife or children. In Buddhism, Buddha did not give a fuck about his father. He did not care about the kingdom he was supposed to rule. He did not care about his mother. Fuck the mother of his children. Fuck his wife. And he let go of all of that because there is this overlapping theme in all types of religion where your main purpose is not to care. And a lot of people talk about stoicism. I will not care when bad things happen to me. But the reason why I mention all the people that let go of their family is because you're also not supposed to care about the good things. You're not supposed to care about the bad things. You need to reach this level of enlightenment, and you can't be enlightened if you're bogged down by constantly negative news. It's a tough pill to swallow, and I'm not saying to give up on your family, but that's the overarching theme in a lot of philosophies, religion, psychology. It's to let go.
We're overstimulated. Our minds are worrying about faraway things, right? The media, the purpose of the media, as I've joked before, is to make every problem your problem, right? You go on social media, and it's just all dueling meme viruses, each one trying to occupy a slot in your brain to make you care. Well, 1,000 years ago, someone could have gotten shot or blown up in some faraway country. You would have never heard about it. You had no stake in it. You had no way of knowing about it. Now it's just, your brain is not managed, it is not designed to handle all the world's emergencies in real time as they break. It's breaking your brain at some deep level. You're not even meant to see violence or pornography. Like, those are very weird and rare and unique new things.
Do you think LeBron James cares about Israel and the Palestinian conflict? Of course he fucking doesn't. Does any single person you look up to in real life, whether it's a celebrity, actually care? And I'm not talking about them being overly performative by posting some fucking black square for BLM. Do they actually care enough to do something about it? The answer is no. And those that do care live these miserable lives where they're constantly fighting a battle, which is already predetermined, not because of your constant screaming, but because the people in power have already decided. This is not meant to be a negative thing, but you need to realize, especially if you watch my, How Not to Waste Your 20s, there are problems that exist everywhere. And it's my job, a YouTuber's job, the news, every single company's job to make their problems your problem. Does that make sense? And what you solely need to focus on is your problems is the priority, not the problems of other people. It sounds really messed up, but I guarantee you everyone's going to watch this video who got to this part will just move on, right? They'll disagree. Oh, fuck you, Rambo. I'm not selfish. I'm not a selfish person. And make no donations, never volunteer, never actually do anything to help, but they only believe stuff like that be against my beliefs because they don't want to be seen as a selfish person. But you're watching this by yourself, most likely. So There's a lot of self-awareness that is required to deeply understand this video. There's a lot of intelligence and interpretation that needs to be understood as to why the conflict is even happening and how you can actually benefit from it. Because if you don't, you'll only suffer through guilt, and the people who want all this to happen will benefit from your guilt. Please support me on Patreon. This video is most definitely getting demonetized. I'm not gonna make any money off of it, which, you know, bad business move, Rambo, but yeah. Bye guys. Toodly do. Israeli.
That was a good video. That was a great video. Well, it was a good video. I'll give you a good video. I don't know about great. There's certain real edgy. It's certain times on both sides. You know what I'm talking about. Listen. That's true. You know, you care too much about certain other things that go on. I'll put his shit up right here so you can see his. Oh, is this his link? I don't know. Find his link. He's solid. I'm not gonna sub though. I'm not gonna watch probably more of these. I'm just probably one of the only videos to do like this. Because this is real touchy. Like I got a couple videos that I didn't drop on certain topics like this, and they were too touchy. I felt like I don't know. I felt like But I will say this: it's true. You can sit here and say you're not supposed to care about other people's things that much because it's gonna fuck up your own life. But I don't know if it's all the way about caring that much in terms of having your world revolve around it. And I think it's more of like just being in tune to a sense of what's going on in the world and then talking about it to try to push the right way. Because you're right, the people in power are in power and they're making the decisions. But we are the power. Like, you can sit here and say the people in power, they hold the power. Yeah, that's true. But if everybody collectively goes, fuck you, dog, no, you're not doing that. They're not going to have the power no more. It's a whole bunch of tricky shit they got to do in order to get shit off. So, talking about it and bringing shit to light brings up the discussion. And it's not like you're supposed to be fucking ruining your life in order to do it, to be involved in this. But at the same time, you want some awareness to be out there so it doesn't come to you. Like, yeah, you can sit here and go, well, 100 years ago, you know, some fucked up shit be going on, you never hear about it. Yeah, until they fucking invade. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying it's gonna get to that point, but, you know, like, maybe having that in the newspaper 100 years ago would have been a little bit more beneficial in terms of, you know, we should say something, not let this shit happen, not let these people make these fucked up decisions, right? What else is I getting at? I don't know, it's weird. It's a touchy subject. You know, you could demonize both sides and then say they're right for doing this and then they're the right for doing this. It's all a whole bunch of, you know, you're fucked up, so I'm gonna do this because you're fucked up, so I'm gonna get it back. You know what I mean? And it always flip-flops. Regardless of what you hear online, it always flip-flops between that. And I don't know if we're getting a lot of peace out of it. I think we're getting more talks out of it more than anything. And you just gotta hope it gets better, man. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation. But that's the vid. I think I'll drop this one. But yeah, it's just weird. It's touchy. Like I said, you know, you go out like this, you're not really looking for a resolution.